Hey guys, man, it's been a while since I have put out a shave. This is the Lather Games, and I haven't been promoting it this year, mainly because I'm just so behind. I always try to participate in some way. Last year, I think I did maybe 2 days of the games. There are plenty of shavers out there on the wet shaving subreddit that go full tilt and have a great fun time with it. In the basics of it is you pick a soap based on the theme for the day, and they release a calendar before the month of June, and you know ahead of time so that you can find soaps if you don't have very many. And it's really for everybody, because even if you only have a few soaps, if you're the kind of person that just uses a soap until it's done, then buys another, that's fine. If you want to play, you can. You can get samples from a place like Maggard's, or you can get online. They usually have a sample thread on the wet shaving subreddit because of the Lather Games, so that people can share the samples that they have. For instance, today is the Halloween themed day. And so, obviously, Southern Witchcrafts has Salwin, or Samhain is how it appears in English spelling. And that's a very Halloween type scent. They also have Boonana, and that's what I'll be using today. Southern Witchcrafts, I've met Courtney and Stephen, and they're great folks. They're not like, they picked the witches as a theme with the decor and stuff that they liked. As far as I know, they're not actual, witches, that sort of thing. There are people who do that. Gillette 365 is the blade we're going to put in the fine accoutrements. It's called the world finest razor, but I think that's kind of the razor with the world's dumbest name myself. But it's a good razor though. A little overpriced, and so this one I bought used. And then what's really cool is this brush was made by Island Blade Works, and it has it's been soaking for a nice long time. I mean, maybe too long. It has not Elite Razors, is it? Yeah, Elite Razor Manchurian knot. I'm looking forward to trying that out. The handle, of course, was made by the Island Blade Works, and I think the name of the handle is Stoya. I bought this from Murphy and McNeil. They did a consignment project for the wife of Matt. He passed away a couple years ago, and his handle on Reddit was 120 in a 55. And so we kind of call him Inna sometimes. Later on, we would learn that his name was Matt, and he just kind of suddenly passed away, and he definitely left um, uh, an absence, because I didn't know him closely, but I definitely read many of his posts. He was articulate. He described things really well in an interesting way, and so his posts were just enjoyable to read. You could just tell he was a good guy. And get that back in the water. And so I was hoping that when that collection finally came to the public for us to buy stuff, that I would find something there that I would enjoy using. And I bought two brushes, and this is one of them. And the handle it's one of those that pictures don't do it justice. It's really interesting with the kind of the translucency between the white stripes here. It visually, I don't think the shape is too attractive, but ergonomically, see this little concave area up there? You put the butt of it against your palm, and then that's just this perfect place to hold, especially for face latherers. So today we'll figure out if it's going to be good. Um, I won't do a bowl lather today. I'll keep doing a slurry lather like I've been for a while now. I'm gathering a lot of data on it, and I'm really happy to do that. Let's put that 365 blade in the finest razor here. It's got a handful of uses on it. I don't think we're up to 10 yet. It's a full stainless steel razor here, and it's definitely a unique head. They're not reproducing anything, and the base plate here is tremendous. I really enjoy the smoothness and efficiency. It clamps down on the blade really well, contributing to that smoothness. Get my face wet. I already know that Southern Witchcrafts works very well with the slurry lather method, and so that we won't do too much learning on this particular shave about that. It's a very kind of brownish soap. Today's theme was they were saying Halloween, and Halloween's the challenge. If you have a pumpkin, you should carve it, show it on the video or show it a picture of it in your post. But then they widened it from Halloween. I think it's from the autumnal equinox to the winter solstice, anything between those. And I think it's cut off right before Christmas, because Christmas would be a different category. And so there were a different number of holidays in there, like Michaelmas was in there. That one was kind of neat. But I didn't really have any soaps that, were regarding that particular holiday. And so Boonana was found. I do have the Salwin soap around somewhere, but in my current state of moving, and that's why I haven't been posting very much. I've just been working really hard at moving and selling our house and things like that. Divorce proceedings, all those kind of things. So put this envelope in a safe place so it doesn't get wet. But I wanted to jump into the Lather Games at least one time. I hope to do another one, and because I like to participate. And it's a reminder for me how fun it is, and it's a reminder for me to maybe try next year, see if I can do it. Maybe my life will be settled down a little bit by next year, so I can make a better effort. Now this knot, you can tell, I can feel by the weight, holds a good bit of water, and you can see how we are still having enough water to where it's dripping. And so the slurry lather method is one, in case you haven't been tuning in too much, but it's one where you start out with a lot of water in the brush, and then a little bit of soap in there as well. It doesn't take a lot really, and you put that frothy slurry on your face from the beginning instead of working it into a mature lather that's all homogeneous and mixed. Okay, so let's go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 50 swirls, and I've got a slurry going on in the soap here. Lots of water was released from the brush. Let's do a little bit more. That's 60 swirls. I have seen that it's good to stop a little bit after you get that wet slurry. I like to try to achieve a little bit of a thicker slurry during the load process. And so now I'm going to, my brush has the soap on the tips there, and the brush still has a good bit of water in it. I'm going to pour the water that's in the tub here in my shaving bowl, in my lather bowl, because that has a lot of the soap in with it as well. And so I want to kind of tap into that later on in the shave. This method is one that I just kind of stumbled across a couple of years ago, and I've really liked it for speed. And you still get a really slick lather, but you get it kind of fast. I've got a few days of growth on, so we will be taking down an above average amount of stubble this time. And you can see that almost immediately we do get that slurry. We don't have to work it too much. I mean, you can if you want. But the point of this method is speed and still enjoying that high amount of water and slickness, even while being fast. All right. That's all it took. I like the grip on this razor. The knurling on here is really quite good. and it's going to cut through the multiple days of growth without an issue. If you often shave like that, where you have some length on your face, I advise starting at the back of the root, meaning if your hair shave with the grain, but kind of start at the top of where the grain would start, and then you're kind of always in shorter strokes, and you're always coming at it, cutting the root away, and then you've got less blade work on the length of the shaft that's not connected, because that's where you can get some tugging, and then of course that's not actually cutting you very closely until you hit it again. Hopefully this razor has some nice flow through where the dross can easily move away. Very comfortable. The 365 is a blade I think is not not marketed as much here in America, but I think maybe over in India it has. I've definitely got some of you guys responding back saying that you really enjoy the 365. And so I think it's a good blade somewhere else in the world other than America. You guys know about your little secret blade where we haven't really gotten it yet, but I mean, there's so many good blades that we're all good. A little quick water. Southern Witchcrafts, they have a vegan formula. This is their vegan formula, and that's one of their priorities, is to try to be that way. So we'll lay down we can still tell with all this water slinging off that we got a good bit of moisture in the brush. And then again, we can stop. We don't have to keep going. It's optional. Because what was laid down on my face just now is a very slick slurry. Often by the third pass, the lather that you're now putting on your face has been mixed enough to where it's a mature lather that's got creaminess to it. You should be able to tell, hopefully through the video, that this one is getting a little thicker as we go. Very slick, very protective here because of that high amount of water. And the reason that I was amazed by this method in the beginning, yeah, we've got a great cut already, is because you could feel that slickness there with the water addition. This method jumped out at me when I tried it with a couple of soap bases, the chiseled face, original tallow base especially, that it amazed me because the type of slickness I was able to achieve was very different than what I was able to get through a normal bowl lather. And I think it's just that crazy amount of water that you start off with that just made all the difference. And so now you can tell we've got a little bit more of a creaminess to the lather. And let's not forget that we're kind of evaluating this brush a little bit here. Yeah, it's got nice soft tips. This is one to enjoy for a nice long time. Yeah, I really like this knot. It does have enough flex. I'm continuing on just because I'm enjoying the brush. If this was a shave where I needed to be quick, I could have stopped by now, by no problem at all. But I'm just enjoying the feel here. It splays easily. It's not shoving my face around in an uncomfortable way whenever I switch direction, like many of the two-band brushes do. The Manchurians usually are two bands, but in many cases they don't have quite the same firmness with the bristles that the finest brushes do. Finest is a name for a certain category of brushes. Manchurian is another one. Unfortunately, there's no standard, so you can't reliably know how a brush is going to behave from one manufacturer to another. And I've seen that there are some Manchurians that really act more like Finest brushes. There are some Finest that are just as luxurious as some Manchurians, you know. So just because the name, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's better or even different than something else. You kind of have to find somebody online who has some experience with it if you don't want to risk your money. So yet another razor where the 365 blade works well in. And this Boonana, if they do offer it again this autumn at Southern Witchcrafts, it's a wonderful scent. It is not a novelty scent at all, and they'll tell you this in their write-up, but I'm letting you know that it's true. It's got a bunch of other elements to it. You could conceivably use it without knowing that it's banana related. If you've got an accurate nose, you're probably going to pick it out, but it's got so many other spicy parts to it. Warm, there's a warm nature to it. You know, so it feels like maybe there's some amber in there as well, and some spices. Sweetness, maybe, but it's definitely not sweet. I wouldn't say it's a gourmand at all. But because of the spices that are in there, I think there must be some almost natural sweetness in there to kind of keep it from being too harsh, you know. But it's really, it's got some, if you like Old Spice, there are some common ingredients in this. There's probably maybe a little bit of orange in there too, just a hint there, just to kind of provide some variety and interest to it, because I think orange is in Old Spice. And then those underlying spices. So if you're a fan of Old Spice and you just want kind of something that maybe has some hints of it, if you like that warm, spicy nature of Old Spice, then I'd say get a sample of the Boonana, maybe even a whole tub. It's a seasonal one, and so they may not keep it around very long. So you'll have to make your own decision there as to whether to pull the trigger on a full tub or not. Well, that was a good shave. 365 and the Fine Accoutrements razor did really, really well together. The brush, I'm happy to report, was terrific. And we have you can see the awesomeness of that lather, the creaminess, and it stayed moisturized. It stayed really hydrated. The tips here being nice and soft. Definitely a luxurious type of lather here. And this method usually doesn't use very much soap at all, because by the time you work up the slurry there, you haven't really loaded too much soap. So it's conservative for soaps as well. Well, there we go. That was good. The knot after a good towel drying here. I've definitely had some Manchurians that had more backbone than I like, and so I had to return them. I think Zenith's Manchurian was like that. But the Manchurian from Saponificio Veracino, very happy with, probably very similar to this knot. And so this one is the one from Elite Razors, pretty sure. The information in the video's description will tell you for sure in case I'm wrong. I was also concerned, I bought this with it looking the way it is, and I thought that looks about right. I also wanted to have something from Inna and from his collection, and I'm really happy the way it turned out, because this is definitely a brush to enjoy that fits my style. See, it could be a brush if it was mounted deeper into the handle here, it might be too firm and I might not enjoy it very much. Nothing wrong with the brush, it's just not set up for me the way I like it. But this one, as it turns out, is great. Had easy splay, like I was saying, but firmness of backbone in this part of the knot here, to where it kept all those nice soft tips right on my face. So very happy with it. And the handle shape was terrific. It felt very natural in my hand. How I didn't even pay attention as I was using it. Probably this grip is what you might have seen the most. I don't usually have this grip too much because it's not as flexible. You know, you can't really use that grip down here. You have to extend out to something like this to be able to get that. And so I'm usually not using this closer type of grip. All right, very good. Now, here in America, we have a holiday, and it's one that I didn't really know about until a few years ago, and it's probably the same for many white people because it was not a heavily publicized in different circles, but June the 19th, and we call it Juneteenth. And it recently became a national holiday, which is terrific because, and it's really funny because in learning more about it, you learn the technical features about how it was the date when the word of the Emancipation Proclamation and the freeing of the black slaves here in America, when that finally made it to an area in Texas that was the last place, and it was just because of logistics. It wasn't because of anything evil necessarily, but it just took time for the word to get around the nation. And there's a place in Texas that was the last city where they just hadn't heard yet about the Emancipation Proclamation. And the word finally got to them on June 19th that the slaves were free. They were pronounced free. And so we now celebrate that as the day, almost like an Independence Day. It was the day that all Americans were free. And I finally was able to hear that in a way, because when you're white and you think that, okay, that's the day the word finally got to them, and okay, well, that's a really good day, to celebrate. But then when you back up, it finally got expressed to me this year in a way where it's the first day that all Americans were free. And so you can also say that it's the day we can truly celebrate the end of slavery that was here in America for hundreds of years, unfortunately. And so I happen to have, and I'm glad that I had this History 101 splash with Abraham Lincoln's picture on it. It has been sitting for months on my sink here. And when I saw that, I think, that's the splash to use, because even if it may not necessarily be on theme, although it is very spicy, which is on the theme of this particular shave day, it's definitely on theme with the recent holiday and celebration. In case you don't know too much about the Juneteenth holiday, now you hopefully have heard it a little bit more about it. So it's the first day all of the Americans were free, and that is definitely something to celebrate. All right, and it is a strong scent. Gunpowder and things like that are in a part of this scent. And it's made in Kearney, Nebraska. I used to live in Nebraska, and so I know that you pronounce that Kearney instead of Kearney or something like that. And Kearney is interesting because it's the geographical center of the United States. If you were to just kind of draw lines from all the different edges of the United States, most of them would intersect in Kearney. Pretty neat. And it's not a big town at all. So there we go, Boonana. Is that splash very compatible? Have I lucked into something really interesting? Where'd my soap go? I'll put it over here. Don't have a lot of room on my sink top right now. Oh yeah, that's very compatible. All the spiciness works well together. Very nice. So here's one for you to look out if you think you might like a warm scent that has a hint of banana in it, and vegan, and it's a very good performing base. I definitely recommend it. It performs well even when stacked up against tallow bases. And so it's top notch in terms of the vegan options out there for sure. So just to final sum up, the razor did very well with that length of hair. A few days of stubble is what we were dealing with, and maybe on a length of 5, something like that. I did not have to clear out the razor, anything other than a quick rinse under the spigot. I didn't have to loosen up the head to make room, so the dross was able to easily get out of the razor, and you can kind of see why with these big slots at the geared into the base plate that let that happen very easily. Well, oh man, good smells. Yeah, the spiciness, that warm spiciness that is a part of both the splash here and the Boonana and the banana scent is gone. It's a sophisticated scent. In a sense, they shouldn't have called it Boonana. In a sense, they shouldn't have, made it almost look like a banana type scent, because it's sophisticated and it's more than just a banana. It should not be regarded as some kind of novelty banana scent. It's really well done. I'm glad I was able to snatch up a tub. I heard good things about it maybe 2 years ago, and so I picked some up, and I'm glad I did. Very glad. That, my friends, is today's shave. I've got a lot of moving stuff to do the rest of today. So happy Juneteenth for a few days ago for those of you guys whose holiday, who are especially grateful for that holiday. And I think all Americans really should be, because all of us should be free and able to, try our best at whatever we want to here in this world. And so everybody should appreciate that holiday, because, what if it's your group that somebody decides is not quite a human, and lacks and doesn't give you certain freedoms? Nobody wants that. But God says we were all created in His image, and indeed the Christian worldview was very instrumental in a lot of the civil rights, anti-slavery type stuff. William Wilberforce was instrumental in England in abolishing slavery there, and he's very Christian based, because we all believe that God is. The Bible says God is. He made man on purpose, and He knows the hairs on our heads, and He cares and loves us, and that we're all made in His image, and that's the very core nature of anti-slavery. Nobody is less than, is basically what that's saying. So, all right, guys, take care. It's really fun to be back with you. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.